Assalamu alaikum. आई एम सॉरी आई वॉज हैविंग सम ट्रबल, उसकी वजह से थोड़ी लेट हो गई. ओके सो लेट अस स्टार्ट फ्रॉम सेक्शन बी. ये हमने कल सेकंड सेशन के अंदर स्टार्ट किया था, थोड़ा किया था, लेकिन कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स की वजह से डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया. और अब हम उसको थोड़ा सा रिवाइज कर लेते हैं और उसके बाद फिर अगेन हम इससे आगे चलेंगे. सो क्वेश्चन है कि डेंसिटी ऑफ वाटर गिवन है इन अ लेक दैट इज़ 1000 किलोग्राम पर क्यूबिक मीटर at a depth of 25 meter beneath the surface of the lake. Total pressure is given, and the first part A is state what is meant by pressure. So it is pretty easy question. Pressure is normal force per unit area. So that's it. Then in part B, the gravitational field strength is 10 Newton per kg. Determine the pressure due to 25 meter of water. So we know that the pressure due to depth of a liquid is equal to rho gh, density, gravitational field strength, and the depth. So here values are given. Rho value is given 1000, g is given 10, and depth of water is given as 25. So we calculate it, and the answer comes to be 2.5 into 10 raised to the power 5 Pascal. Now second part, we have to determine the atmospheric pressure. Now the atmospheric pressure, and how we will determine atmospheric pressure, we are given here the total pressure. This is the total pressure is given, and total pressure is equal to the sum of atmospheric pressure plus the pressure due to depth of water. So total pressure is given. Pressure due to water we have calculated in part 1, so we will calculate from here the atmospheric pressure, which is 1 into 10 raised to the power 5 Pascal. Now in part C, an underwater depth gauge contains a small cylinder as shown in figure 8.1. Gas is trapped inside the cylinder by a piston. The piston is free to move. The outer face of the piston is in contact with the water. As the depth gauge is lowered into the water, the piston moves into the cylinder. This moves the needle on a dial to indicate the depth of the gauge in the water. Explain why the piston moves into the cylinder. Okay, so let me explain here. This is the outer face and a force is acting on it. Pressure is acting, and because of that force is also acting. And similarly there is a gas pressure inside, pressure of the gas. So these are two forces which are equal, but when it is lowered into the water, this force, this pressure increases, When this pressure and as a result this force increases, we get a resultant force towards left. So, due to this resultant force, the piston moves inward in this direction. So, we have written here that pressure in a liquid increases with depth. As the depth gauge is lowered into water, the pressure on outside of the piston increases, as I told you, and it becomes greater than that on the inner face. So, resultant force on the piston is inward, which causes the piston to move into the cylinder. Okay, so part 2. The temperature of the gas does not change as the piston moves into the cylinder. Explain in terms of molecules what happens to the pressure of the trapped gas as the piston moves into the cylinder. So, when it moves into the cylinder, let me erase this. When it moves into the cylinder, say it comes here like this. So, the volume of the cylinder is decreased. When it is decreased, there are more number of molecules per unit volume. When there are more number of molecules per unit volume, molecules collide more frequently with the walls and with the inner face of the cylinder, and hence the pressure is increased. You have to tell that the pressure is increased in terms of molecules. Now let's proceed with part 3. At the surface of the water, the volume of the trapped gas in the depth gauge is V0. On figure 8.2, sketch a graph to show how the volume of trapped gas decreases as the gauge is lowered into the water. So, we have to draw the graph between volume and depth. Most probably, you would not have studied it in your O-level syllabus, but you have studied some things which जिनको आप इस्तेमाल करके यूज़ करके आप ये ग्राफ ड्रॉ कर सकते हैं. So first of all, you studied that pressure is equal to rho g into h. So density of the liquid is constant, gravitational acceleration is constant, so it means that pressure is directly proportional to the depth. Secondly, as the temperature is constant, it is stated in the above part that the temperature does not change. So, as the temperature is constant, it means that P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2, or we can say that PV is equal to constant. Now, this equation tells you that pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. Now, pressure is directly proportional to H and pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. So, if we take left hand side is similar, so the relationship between H and V comes out to be inverse relationship. So, we have to draw a graph of inverse relationship. We will start from here V0, because initially it is V naught, the volume of the trapped gas in the depth gauge, and it goes like this. Now you have to pay attention, this curve should not touch the x-axis. ये इसके करीब जाकर बस ऐसे आगे चलती जाएगी, इसको आपने x एक्सिस से मैच नहीं करना. Okay ji, the instructions for the depth gauge state that each time it is used, the needle of the dial must be reset to 0 at the surface of the water. Suggest one reason for this. So now it is your turn. Please use the option of chat and suggest one reason for this. Okay, I hope you can listen to me. Okay, क्वेश्चन आया जी कि एक्स एक्सिस को टच क्यों नहीं करेंगे. ये आपने ओ लेवल में पढ़ा होगा, रिलेशनशिप्स, प्रोपोर्शन, डायरेक्ट प्रोपोर्शन एंड इनवर्स प्रोपोर्शन. उसके अंदर अगर आप देखें तो ये कभी भी एक्स एक्सिस को टच नहीं कर सकता. इसकी रीजनिंग, प्रॉपर रीजनिंग आपको वहाँ से मिलेगी. इनवर्स रिलेशनशिप के अंदर एक्स एक्सिस को टच नहीं करता. Okay, so I would like you to answer the question of this one. One reason for resetting to 0. Anybody? Please suggest one reason. I am waiting for your response. Okay, I got a response, or that the pressure measured is not the same. No, pressure measurement का इससे कोई डायरेक्ट ताल्लुक नहीं होगा. उसकी रीज़न ये है कि देखिए, प्रेशर मेजरिंग डिवाइस है ना, वो तो जितना डेप्थ पे होगा, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज़ द रिवर इन विच दिस इज़ द गेज, तो आप यहाँ पर करेंगे तो यहाँ पे तो प्रेशर सेम ही आना चाहिए, इधर करेंगे तो यहाँ पे डिफरेंट होगा. तो उसका उससे कोई वो नहीं होगा. ओके, अनदर response, atmospheric pressure is not considered. Yes, this seems too near to right. डेप्थ गेज मेजर क्या करता है? डेप्थ गेज देखें, डेप्थ में मेजर करता है डिफरेंस बिटवीन टोटल प्रेशर and the atmospheric pressure. Actually it measures the pressure due to depth of water or depth of any liquid. तो measure क्या कर रहा है ये? It is measuring difference between total pressure minus atmospheric pressure. तो अब इसकी जो कैलिब्रेशन हुई होती है वो जब ये डेप्थ गेज यहाँ पर होगा तो यहाँ पे टोटल प्रेशर और एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर इक्वल होंगे, तो ये एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर जब यहाँ पर होगा तो इसको ज़ीरो कैलिब्रेट किया जाता है। अगर एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर चेंज हो जाए तो इसकी कैलिब्रेशन गड़बड़ हो जाएगी। सो यहाँ पे हम लिख सकते हैं बिकॉज एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर may change from time to time. We can also give the reason in terms of temperature कि temperature change हो सकता है। Again temperature जब change होगा तो it will have an effect on atmospheric pressure. Part 5. The density of the air trapped in the depth gauge increases, the density of the water remains constant. Explain in terms of the molecules of the water why the density of the water remains constant. So you would have studied a kinetic model of matter that gases are compressible but liquids are incompressible, means the density of the liquids does not change, it remains constant. So from there you can easily tell in terms of the molecules why the density of the water remains constant. It is because the distance between the water molecules is very less and the intermolecular forces of repulsion are strong. अगर यहाँ पर if we consider two molecules तो two molecules को जब compress करने की कोशिश करेंगे इधर से तो इसके ऊपर जो forces होंगी वो strong होती हैं intermolecular forces, तो उनको compress उतना नहीं किया जा सकता. So we can write it here because there is very less gap between molecules of water and intermolecular forces are large. Okay ji, question number 9. A small glass measuring cylinder of oil is placed inside a freezer where the temperature is minus 18 degrees centigrade. Figure shows how the temperature of the oil varies with the time t. So initially the temperature of the oil is 20 degrees centigrade. When it is placed inside the freezer, its temperature goes on decreasing. This is a cooling curve and it reaches at about whatever this value. Okay, Figure shows that it takes 700 seconds for the temperature to decrease from 20 degrees centigrade to 10 degrees centigrade and 1900 seconds to decrease from 0 degrees centigrade to minus 10 degrees centigrade. Okay. 20 to 10, 700. This is 20 and 10. This much time is taken to cool from 20 degrees centigrade to 10 degrees centigrade, but 0 degree centigrade to minus 10 degrees centigrade, it takes this much time. So what is the reason? So what do you think? Please give some response. ओके तो कोई रिस्पांस नहीं आ रहा, इसका मैं क्या मतलब लूँ कि आपको नहीं पता या आप बताना नहीं चाह रहे? ओके सो अच्छा देखें जी, हीट ट्रांसफ़र डिपेंड्स अपॉन टेम्परेचर डिफरेंस। जितना ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर डिफरेंस होगा उतना जल्दी हीट ट्रांसफ़र होगी, उसका रेट ट्रांसफ़र उतना ज़्यादा होगा। सो इनिशियली जो टेम्परेचर डिफरेंस है दैट इज़ ग्रेटर। ट्वेंटी डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड इज़ द temperature of oil and minus 18 degree centigrade is the temperature of the freezer compartment. So there is a large temperature difference, so heat transfers take place quickly, whereas when it reaches at here 0 degree centigrade, the difference in temperature becomes less, so heat transfer takes more time. So that is why this time is less and this time is more. इसको लिखने की ज़रूरत तो नहीं है। अच्छा जी, क्वेश्चन आया है, आर यू लाइव समवेयर एल्स? नो, आई एम नॉट लाइव एनीवेयर एल्स। ये यूट्यूब के ऊपर ही लाइव हूँ। आर यू हैविंग सम ट्रबल? Okay, part B. Explain what happens to the molecules of the oil and what happens to the level of the oil in the glass measuring cylinder as the temperature decreases from 20 degrees centigrade to 0 degrees centigrade. What happens to the molecules and what happens to the level of the oil? सो मॉलिक्यूल्स के अंदर जब टेम्परेचर डिक्रीज होगा तो उनकी काइनेटिक एनर्जी डिक्रीज हो जाएगी. काइनेटिक एनर्जी ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स डिक्रीजेस. Secondly, it asks about the level of the glass, level of the oil. So the level of the oil decreases because volume of oil decreases as a result of decreasing gap between molecules. सो यहाँ पर हमने इन टर्म्स ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स इसको डिस्क्राइब करना है. दिस इज नेसेसरी as a result of decreasing gap between molecules. Okay, the part C is determine the melting point of the oil. This is very easy question if you have studied thermal energy. Now this is the graph and you have to determine the melting point of the oil. Please give me the answer in the chat. Melting point of the oil. I am waiting for your answer. What would be the melting point of the oil? -10. Very good. So the melting point of the oil will be this one, the horizontal straight line. We will determine from here, because whenever state of change occurs, temperature remains constant. So जब temperature constant होगा तो it will be shown by a straight line. So melting point is minus 10 degree centigrade. Okay. Part 2, explain in terms of molecules why the temperature of the oil does not change between 3600 seconds and temperature and time 10,800 seconds. So if you see in the graph, this time is this one, the horizontal straight line. So we have to tell the reason in terms of molecules. So we will write during this time the change of state occurs. The potential energy of molecules is decreased. The molecules come closer to each other. And strong bonds are formed. As heat released come potential energy of molecules and kinetic energy does not change. Therefore, temperature remains constant. Okay, part D. There is 45 gram of oil in the glass boiling cylinder and the specific latent heat of fusion of the oil is 5.7 10 to the power 4 joule per kg. Calculate the energy transferred from the oil between time 300 second and time 10,800 second. Now this time is the time represented by the horizontal line. So we have to find the heat energy. So आपने फार्मूला पढ़ा होगा, heat energy, latent heat is equal to L into M. Latent heat we have to find. Specific latent heat of fusion is given 5.7 into 10 raised to the power 4 joule, and the mass is given as 45 gram. Now here the mass is in 45 gram, so we have to convert it into kilogram. So यहाँ पर हम क्या करेंगे, we will divide it with 1000, and if we calculate it, it comes out to be 2565 joule. Part 2, the average rate at which energy is transferred from the oil between time 3600 second and time 10,800 second. Again, we have to find the average rate. So it is also very easy question. Rate is energy divided by time interval. So we have find out energy, that is 2565 joule, and the time interval is 10,800 600. We have to take time interval. So the rate comes out to be 0.36 watt. The graph in figure 9.1 is steeper before the horizontal section than it is after. To compare the specific heat capacity of oil in the liquid and solid states and explain your reasoning. kg. So if you see here, this section is steeper and this is less steep. And you have to tell the reason in terms of specific heat capacity. Now what is specific heat capacity? It is heat divided by mass into delta T. जब इसको कंपेयर करने के 2 पॉइंट्स ले सकते हैं सेम चेंज इन टेम्परेचर के लिए. सो लेट्स सी, हम यहाँ से 1 2 3 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड का ले लेते हैं. It takes about time 3 boxes of the time. और यहाँ पर अगर हम 3 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड का लें 1 2 3, so it takes much more time to increase the same temperature. The liquid state takes less heat, less time, and that is why less heat. तो लिक्विड स्टेट के अंदर टाइम कम है, इट मीन्स के हीट कम है, लेस हीट इज रिक्वायर्ड, सो दैट इज व्हाई इट्स स्पेसिफिक हीट कैपेसिटी विल बी लेस. Degree change specific heat capacity of liquid oil is less than that of solid oil. Okay जी. Question number 10. Part A says how the resistance of the wire in figure 10.1 depends upon length and the area. So please tell me the answer of this in the chat. I have not got any response yet. Yes. I want you to give the answer of this question. I hope it would be visible on your screen now. how the resistance of the wire in figure depends upon length and area. ये आपकी तरफ से कोई रिस्पॉन्स आएगा, फिर हमने आगे चलना है. There is no response. Now I got one response. Sir, please tell me how the resistance of the wire depends upon length and area. Yes, I will solve paper 1 as well इंशाल्लाह. पहले पेपर 2 करेंगे, उसके बाद फिर पेपर 4 और पेपर 1 की बारी आएगी. डोंट नो. ओके, सो अगर आपने इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का चैप्टर स्टडी किया हो, so R is equal to rho L over A. R is the resistance is directly proportional to the length and it is inversely proportional to the area. So we will write resistance is directly proportional to L and resistance is inversely proportional to A. Now keep it in your mind that you have to specifically write that it is directly proportional and inversely proportional. अगर आप सिर्फ ये लिख देंगे that resistance increases by increasing length, so it will not be acceptable because it specifically it is directly proportional and it is inversely proportional. Reason क्या है ये अभी थोड़ा इसको समझ लें. Now this is a graph of directly proportional. If x increases, y increases and it passes through the origin. Here are now this graph, in this graph as well, if x increases, y also increases. But this graph is not of direct proportion. Directly proportion जब होगा तो line जो होगी straight line that will pass through the origin. इसके अंदर origin से pass like this, but these two are not directly proportional to x in these two situations. It is only this situation in which y is directly proportional to specific thing. So you have to write here that resistance is directly proportional to length and resistance is inversely proportional to area. Okay, the part P. The cross-sectional area of a piece of metal wire is 7.5 into 10 raised to the power minus 4 centimeter square. The resistance of a 1 meter length of the same wire is 6.4 ohm. The wire is made from metal W. Figure shows a solid cube of side 1 centimeter. It is also made from the metal W. Calculate the resistance between the two opposite faces A and B of the cube. So here we have a cube and we have to find the resistance between the two opposite faces, that is one this face and another is this face. Now how we will find it? From the same formula, R is equal to rho L over A. Now to find the resistance between these two faces, we need length. Length is, here it will be 1 centimeter. Area of cross section. So this area will be needed. This area will be equal to 1 centimeter multiplied by 1 centimeter. But we don't know the resistivity. Resistivity हम कैसे find करेंगे? Resistivity find करने के लिए we have the information about metal W. We are given area, we are given length, and we are given the resistance. So resistance is 6.4 ohm. We have to find resistivity. Length is given 1 meter and area is given centimeter square. So either you convert from centimeter square to meter square or convert from meter to centimeter. It will be easy if you convert meter to centimeter in this question. So length is 100 centimeter and area is 7.5 into 10 to the power of minus 4. So from here we will calculate resistivity, and it will be 4.8 into 10 raised to the power minus 5 ohm centimeter. Now we have found from this data the resistivity. Now we will come to this cube. R is equal to rho L over A. Rho is, we have just found, 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 5. Length is 1 centimeter and area is 1 into 1 centimeter. So resistance will be equal to 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 5 ohm. Okay ji, video is lagging a lot, I don't know why. Okay, so lagging means, you mean to say that it is buffering? Okay, ji, part C. Figure 10.3 shows that a 1 meter length of the wire whose resistance is given as 6.4 ohm is connected in series with a switch, a cell of electromotive force 1.2 volt and a resistor of resistance 9.6 ohm. The switch is closed. Explain what is meant by electromotive force. So I would like you to give the definition of electromotive force in the chat. Please give the definition of electromotive force in the chat. I am waiting for your response. No response till now. Okay, let me finish this quickly. EMF is work done in moving a unit charge around the complete circuit. In this definition, this word unit charge or 1 coulomb of charge, it is a must thing. If you don't write it, you will lose 1 mark. Calculate the potential difference across the 1 meter length of the wire. So the potential difference, the formula of potential difference is V is equal to I into R. The resistance is given as 6.4 ohm here, but we don't know the value of current. So to find the value of current, we will first find the effective resistance of this complete circuit. This resistance and this wire, this wire having resistance is in series. So first of all, we will find its effective resistance, that is 6.4, which is the resistance of the wire, and plus 9.6, which is the resistor in this circuit here. So the effective resistance, the total resistance in the circuit is 9 plus 6, 15, and it comes out to be 16 ohm. Now once we have found the effective resistance, we can find the current passing through the circuit. Using the same equation, I is equal to V over R. Voltage is, sorry, ऊपर चला गया. Voltage is given as 1.2 volt. And effective resistance is 16. So it is 0.075 ampere. Now we know the current, we know the resistance of the 1 meter of the wire, so we can easily calculate V is equal to IR 0.075 ampere into resistance, which is equal to 6.4. Multiplying it, we get 0.48 volt. Okay, part 3 is that one input terminal of an oscilloscope is connected to the wire at point P, the 0 centimeter mark of the meter rule. The other terminal of the oscilloscope is connected to a sliding contact. Initially, this contact touches the wire at point P. The wire gain setting of the oscilloscope is 0.2 volt per centimeter. Figure shows the screen of the oscilloscope with a horizontal trace across the middle of the screen. The sliding contact is slowly moved along the wire until it reaches the other end of the meter rule. Describe and explain what happens to the trace on the screen. So, when the sliding contact, let me explain in the figure first. This is the point P 0 centimeter mark. So one contact is here and one contact is sliding contact, which is initially at this point. Initially that is also at this point. Then the sliding contact moves here, इधर से होते हुए it goes till this. So when the sliding contact moves towards the right, the resistance of the wire in the circuit increases. So when the resistance increases, the potential drop between these two terminals of also increases. When the potential drop increases, the trace on the screen, this horizontal trace will move upwards, and how much it will move upwards we can find from the values of potential drop. We have found just 0.48 volt. This is 0.48 volt. We have found the potential difference across the wire when the sliding contact is at the other end. पूरी वायर को जब वो कवर कर लेगा तो वोल्टेज आएगी 0.48 वोल्ट. इनिशियली इट विल बी 0 वोल्ट. 0 वोल्ट को दिखाया हुआ है इधर. तो 0.48 वोल्ट को करने के लिए वाई एक्सिस के ऊपर हमारे पास वोल्टेज होती है. सो दिस और इज upwards. How minute? Because we are given y base setting. So we will just simply divide 0.48 with the time base setting, and it will be 2.4 सेंटीमीटर. 0.48 अगर इसके यूनिट आप देखें 0.48 इज वोल्ट. 0.2 का है जी वोल्ट पर सेंटीमीटर. तो ये सेंटीमीटर न्यूमरेटर में चला जाएगा, वोल्टेज से कैंसिल हो जाएगी, एंड वी विल गेट द यूनिट सेंटीमीटर. सो इट विल बी अराउंड हियर. Straight horizontal line. It will remain horizontal and it will move upwards. Part D. A second identical 1.2 volt cell is connected in parallel with the cell in the circuit. State one advantage of using two cells in parallel rather than a single cell. So if we use two cells in cell, its advantage is that its life will be increased. So life of cells gets doubled because we are using two identical cells in parallel. State and explain the effect on the trace of adding the second cell in parallel. There will be no effect. So we have stated it, and we have to tell why there is no effect, because if we place two identical cells in parallel, its EMF will be equal to the EMF of the